sense of how things have been crazy town in the last 48 hours. Let's take a listen to some of the highlights or lowlights from the campaign trail.
I was with Donald Trump in 1980. I was sitting with him on an airplane. And he went after me on the plane. Yeah, I'm going to go after. Believe me, she would not be my first choice, that I can tell you. The emails show that behind closed doors, speaking to these international bankers, Hillary Clinton's pledged to destroy the sovereignty of the United States. I'm standing at my podium, and she walks in front of me, right? She walks in front of me, you know. And when she walked in front of me, believe me, I wasn't impressed.
How about this? After 15 minutes, we don't know each other. After 15 minutes, she said, well, that was too much. And I decided, 15 minutes? With the ladies in this place, it would be 1 second and it would be smack. We should take a drug test prior, because I don't know what's going on with her. But at the beginning of her last debate, she was all pumped up at the beginning. And at the end, it was like, oh, take me down. She could barely reach her car.
All right, so that was just a little bit of it. You know, Mike Emanuel said, Chris, that Hillary Clinton has laid low, and she's letting Donald Trump fill the airways, which he has. And the other thing that's happened is we had something Carl Cameron talked about, which is the suggestion that elections could be rigged in America. And I actually think that that's a topic that put our podcast, before it was a TV show, temporary, on the map, because you talked about how Americans should have faith in our elections. I was thinking about that today.
Well, if you were to add up all the blessings that the United States has had as a nation, there are many, many things, more than any other country in the world. But you would certainly put on the list of finalists for the greatest blessing that we have the fact that we have had an orderly and peaceful transfer of power, even as civil war loomed, even as riots raged, even during war. We have had an orderly transition of power, and we've had it 44 times, and this is supposed to be the 45th time. The French are on their 6th republic. We are better at this than anybody in the world, and it is the cornerstone, in fact, of why markets, about why people, about why everybody has confidence in the United States, is because we're big, we're powerful, but we're stable. We're stable.
I remember I was thinking earlier today about one of my favorite moments when I worked at the White House was in January of 2009, just as we were preparing to turn over the administration to President Obama. President Bush 43 invited all the living former presidents and President-elect Obama to the Oval Office, and I went in with Robert Gibbs, who was going to be the press secretary for Obama, and I thought about that picture today because it's a remarkable amount of forgiveness that has to happen. Those campaigns weren't easy, and there was a lot of angry words and allegations and accusations hurled at all of them. But I remember thinking that day that we are an example, and this is a good example between Bush and Gore in 2000, that one, even despite the recount, that America came together. Well, we did.
I think I think if it hadn't been for September 11th, I think that the way that people feel that. I think
that's not true, because they ended up with a lot of President Bush was able to get several pieces of legislation through even before September 11th.
No one is taking anything away from No Child Left Behind. I think you guys
tax cuts,
and they sent me a check.
Like
it was they sent me a check. I bought a television with it. It was
you did?
great. Oh, totally.
That helped the economy.
West Virginia roared into first place as soon as I went and bought that television.
You know my point, though, that we do this over and over.
I understand, but my point is there's some crackle in the wire. There's some energy that is dangerous energy that is out there when people feel like the system is rigged and people feel like it doesn't work and they start to question. In 2000, we were told that George Bush stole the election, and Democrats, including Al Gore to a certain extent, worked to delegitimize. Yeah. But worked to delegitimize Bush's presidency. In 2004, Democrats said that they stole the election in Ohio with Diebold voting machines. In 2008, it was the Black Panthers were blocking Republicans, there are no Republicans in those districts, from voting in Philadelphia, and all kinds of stuff. So I'm not saying this is new. What I'm saying is that September 11th created a pause where people said, wow, we should not be... We need each other, and we've got to stick together and not be heinous to one another constantly. But I'm telling you that if we go back to Ross Perot, if we go back to '92, and then there's deep occurrence of this in the past. But basically what Trump's saying this election is it's all a fraud.
And no matter what, it's a
like
fraud?
no matter what. Like he's down 11 points in Pennsylvania.
Well, can we take a look at a couple of the polls and
Well,
why they
don't
might be trying to bring this up now? And you even had Rudy Giuliani, one of his surrogates, suggesting that the inner cities will definitely be rigged because it's not, there are not a lot of Republicans there. Okay, so here you see, this is the Washington Post ABC poll. What do you make of that? Only 4 points.
4 points there. And then if you look at the Wall Street Journal poll, it's like a bajillion points. So the average, so this is why we like polling averages. And there it is, the bajillion point spread. So this would be reflective of a polling average that's like 6, 7 points. This is the normal. We won't know at the end what the average or normal deficit for Trump was until we get to the end, but basically he has been between 2 and 10 points. Is this the normal range for his deficit, 6 or 7 points? Maybe. But at this point in 1996, Bob Dole was in a similar situation, right? And he had already said, "Where's the outrage?" And then people said, "Not here, bro." But he knew that, and the Republicans and he worked together to try to save the Senate. They actually gained 2 Senate seats in 1996. What we're witnessing this time is somebody that is in the same position as Dole was, who is asking where's the outrage, but doesn't seem to there doesn't seem to be any move towards normalizing things and being cool.
I'm only smiling because I'm remembering in 1998, 1990, I moved to England. And it was the summertime, even though it was kind of cold all the time. And I remember I took too many clothes, too many things, and I moved to England. I got married to Peter, and I had a Dole Kemp T-shirt, and I wore that everywhere I went.
She's so cool. She's just the coolest.
Total
just
nerd.
the coolest.
I still have that T-shirt
Just people
somewhere.
in Britain just
I
knew
was
you were
there
cool.
in 1996. All right.